What do you think?
How fucking dare you?
Oh, that was a pretty fucking awesome film, I'm not gonna lie. That was really good. So, here I am talking about another new film. This one is directed by a guy named Luca Guadagnino. He is the director of Call Me By Your Name, Bones and All, and Suspiria. They weren't released in that order, but that was how I remembered them just now. Very interesting, very artistic, very good director. And I was highly anticipating this new film, Challengers, because it was directed by him. I'm recording this review on the same night that I watched the film, so this is my initial reaction, my initial thoughts. It's fresh, it's right off the presses. These are just what my thoughts and feelings are as of right now. And what my brain is telling me right now is that I thoroughly enjoyed what I just watched, and it was a very satisfying piece of cinema.
He's in another league.
You were incredible today.
The important thing here is that I was ecstatic coming out of this film. I was so hopped up on great movie making. I was just in such a good mood. I was energized. I was like, yeah, that was just a fucking good film. And before we start reviewing anything, I just want to preface that that's how I came out of the cinema. That is what film is all about, just having those experiences. Fuck all these reviews, man. Just go watch it for yourself. But whilst you're all here, I'm going to try my best to articulate my experience to you guys. You guys! Everyone says you guys, like you guys, no one's watching. I'm really just so happy. I was almost aggressively happy driving home from the cinema. So Challengers, to give you a plot synopsis, is a story about 3 tennis players who are involved in this strange psychosexual love triangle. Very peculiar and quirky idea for a film, and it was marketed as so. And as the narrative goes on, it becomes a study of this strange relationship, as well as a commentary maybe on rivalry or competitiveness, but it's more so just a fascinating look at this very odd dynamic between these 3 people.
Come here.
Which one of us?
I believe it's Ménage à Trois.
That's all I'll say on the plot for now, and I'm going to take this time to talk about the objective aspects of the film first. From scene to scene, this film never gets dull. It's always gripping, at least that's how I felt. I noticed about halfway through the movie that I was just glued to the screen. I was loving it. There were no bad scenes or moments that I could have done without. Like many films that have come before it, it has a non-linear structure, which sometimes can be a gimmick, but sometimes not. Luckily, in this case, it's not a gimmick, and it works perfectly for the story it's trying to tell. The film essentially centres around this one particular tennis match between 2 of the main characters, and it continuously flashes back to prior moments. And when I say prior moments, I mean things that took place over a decade ago. You get the full history of this relationship between these 3 people. You're drip-fed more and more information about these people, and it all comes at the perfect time in the movie, continuously adding to what you've already seen and making things more interesting. And again, every scene that comes is entertaining, it adds to something about the characters, and it's really just such an easy, engaging watch, honestly. It's got a fast-ish pace, but it's not like the quickest thing in the world, but it flowed well, perfectly for what it was doing. And also, regarding that non-linear structure, it's so consistent with it that it never really becomes jarring or off-putting, because you quickly see that this is just how the film works. Like, the majority of this film is flashbacks. What I'm trying to say, just in friendlier words, is that you don't have any excuse being bored because the pacing's good. It's fine, so shut up. The colour palette to this film stood out to me as well because it's aesthetically pleasing, but not in a show-offy way. It's much more subtle and tasteful. Little implementations of certain colours, but nothing that feels overly saturated. Wonderful lighting and cinematography that's quite unique to Luca's style. This is going to be something that a lot of people love about this film, but the music is awesome. Not just for how it sounds, but also how it's implemented into the movie as well. It's really precise. There's this one track, this one beat that's almost like the theme tune of the movie, because it's always coming in at these precise moments where 2 people are having this intense argument, and it's really cool. Those scenes very memorable, very well acted as well. And then when I saw the credits roll, I saw that it was Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross who did the music, so there you go. It's hard not to get some kind of emotional reaction from the music in this film. There is a high likelihood that people are going to listen to this soundtrack whilst at the gym. Not me, however, because I fucking hate the gym. It's boring as shit. But how's the acting, Batcho? That's quite an important thing, seeing as how it is a character-driven movie. The acting is fantastic, I'll say. Not necessarily the Oscar baity type of acting, but just competent and believable. And also, more importantly, the chemistry between the three leads is astonishing, since that is essentially the bedrock of the movie after all, so it needed to work, and it did. You got Zendaya, who's great. You got the guy who played Prince Charles in The Crown. It was just quite funny seeing him here. And then you got this other guy who, to my knowledge, is a newcomer when it comes to the acting scene, and he was fantastic. They're likeable, they're strange, they're complex, but they're believable. Zendaya is in a lot of things that I love, and I know most people see her as this Disney Channel actress, but to me, she's just the Euphoria girl. And I thought she was sick in Euphoria. She's alright in the Spider-Man films, and that film Malcolm and Marie, not a great film, but the performances were ace in that. Like, from where I'm sitting, I don't know anything about her musical career or what she did on Disney Channel. Like, she's just an excellent actress to me. But enough about the acting and the characters and all that boring shit. This is a tennis movie as well, so how are those scenes? They were great too.
I assume you planned this?
Not this part.
It seemed like Luca Guadagnino had a lot of fun shooting these tennis scenes in all of these various unconventional ways. I'm not a tennis fan, I never watch it, so I'm not coming from any like real place here, or like, I know how these things really look, so I'm going to analyse these scenes. I'm more so just talking about the experience I had when watching these tennis matches in the film. And one emotion that comes to mind is violent. They were very violent and aggressive looking things. I'm not a tennis guy, but I know they obviously require a lot of energy, a lot of stress goes into them, a lot of precision, a lot of athleticism, and also it's kind of the whole point of the movie, a lot of competitiveness and rivalry. And the scenes in this film really got that over well. They were sweaty. They were really nice and sweaty, because Luca likes that as well. I know he does. They were intense, they were quick, they were snappy, they were brutal. I need to stop fucking clicking my hands. That's so stupid. Why did I fucking do that? During these scenes, I paid close attention to the sound design, because that was something that seemed to jump out at me. It was just something about the fierceness of the sounds of the ball hitting the racket and them swinging it back at each other. It was just so like, ugh. Almost like a stressful ASMR thing, I don't know. And also, of course, the exhausted grunts of the players every time they hit the ball back. That was funny. Like, ugh! And speaking of grunts, this is a very sexual movie. It's very erotic, homoerotic in particular. In the films that I've seen from him, Luca Guadagnino deals with sexuality a lot and quite viscerally showcases it. Call Me By Your Name is obviously a very erotic film, and as is the case with Bones and All. But I like the unapologetic way he deals with sexuality. It can be comical in certain areas, but the main thing was that when I was watching this trailer, I was a little worried that it might be a little too fetishistic. And technically you could say it is a little fetishistic, but I never had a problem with it. It was always in service of something. It was as if you were seeing the characters through that lens of desire of another character. It was done to evoke something about their relationship, even though on paper a lot of this does look like gay fanfic.
I think maybe we're disturbed by the fact that she could have been into someone like me
When we were teenagers.
when we were teenagers.
I'm going to now discuss the themes and motifs of the film, so we're going to get a little bit more into the narrative. So for me, and probably a lot of people, because I'm not like original for thinking this, but this is just where I arrived. This is just a story about tennis, sexuality, and intimacy all being simultaneously intertwined, and seeing what crazy things happen from there. And therein lies another reason why it's not simply just fetishistic, is because it's in service of this. It is again about this unconventional psychosexual dynamic between these three characters, and a study of the mindsets of each one of them. Zendaya's character is very interesting because she's someone who can't seem to distinguish tennis and relationships, or more so, she intentionally and knowingly entangles the two, so they become reliant on one another. For her, sexuality and intimacy cannot exist without tennis. They are one and the same to her for some bizarre reason, and a lot of this film is about the effects it has on her as well as the two people that she's involved with. Early on in the film, she even describes a tennis match as a relationship. It's this interplay between two combatants, and she thinks it's an intimate thing. And that is a fascinating way to look at the sport. It's odd and arguably quite destructive in the end, but still, it's not just that tennis is a relationship, it's that tennis is the relationship. So throughout the runtime of this movie, she alternates between the two of these men romantically. However, at these times, she isn't just acting as a romantic partner, she's also acting as a tennis coach. And again, that's more or less the same thing for her. So what happens is the relationships only seem to function well just so long as the tennis is going well. As in, when she is involved with one of the two men, depending on how good their tennis game is, will dictate if she stays with them or not, or will dictate how attracted she is to them. And the strange thing is, this spurs the men on to become better tennis players and be more competitive. The two men are actually close friends at the start of the film, and they both meet her together at the same time, and both fall head over heels in love with her, and she picks up on this and instantly starts pitting them against each other. And that does sound rather toxic and conniving, but the way this film depicts it, it's almost as if Zendaya does have a moral code, but it only exists within the world of tennis. She wants what's best for both of these people, only regarding their tennis careers though. And the weird thing is, as a tennis instructor, I do think she, in a roundabout way, does a very good job. But this is just one of the examples of all of the strange thoughts that the film makes you have. You're always conflicted as to what you're supposed to be feeling, but it's interesting because of that. And again, that idea of a sports match being an intimate relationship between two people is really fascinating. And the way this film plays around with that idea as well. There's a scene where Zendaya is having sex with the Patrick character, who's played by the guy from The Crown. And during the sex, she is critiquing his tennis game, and when he goes, okay, can we maybe stop talking about tennis for a minute, she immediately just stops having sex with him. Because again, tennis and sex are intertwined for her. She goes, oh, you want to stop talking about tennis? Okay, then stops having sex with him because all of her attraction for him's gone in that moment. It is also quite sad because towards the end you get some hints that Zendaya isn't necessarily all that happy about this mental state she's in, where her romantic involvement with someone is completely dependent on tennis. And in her own fucked up way, she kind of wants what's best for both of them. I like the scene where they both first met her and were both simultaneously trying to seduce her, and that itself was like a tennis match. She was the match. She is the match of the movie. She is the real match. And she's conscious of that, and she thinks it's good for them because it makes them better tennis players. They fight over her for the course of the whole film, and in that process they become better tennis players, but also become more confident in themselves, more determined and more energized. Particularly the Art character, who at the start of the film is a little bit more subdued and laid back.
What makes you think I want someone to be in love with me?
It's nice to see you lit up about something, even if it's my girlfriend.
Because of how Zendaya pits them both against each other, Art does become a better version of himself. But again, that first scene where they're both flirting with her and she's trying to choose between them is like a tennis match with that back and forth. Literally, you can see in Zendaya's eyes when she's more attracted to one over the other, and it keeps shifting. It's really interesting. I've probably said that a lot, haven't I? It's really interesting, it's really interesting, it's really interesting. I don't want to go too much into the ending, but obviously it consisted of a tennis match, you might imagine. I thought it was a very good conclusion to the film. It was uplifting in its own way. Again, I don't see this film as a macabre character study about these sociopathic sports men and women. I actually find them really empathetic because in their own fucked up way, they want what's best for each other. And the ending, without going into it too much, is emblematic of that. It had echoes of Whiplash's ending, and that is very, very high praise. But it's different from Whiplash still. It's very unique from Whiplash, but similar in certain areas. And also regarding that ending, and this isn't a spoiler, there are some really cool POV shots of the tennis players. Just again, a fun, creative way of showing the match. And there's even a moment where you get a POV shot of the tennis ball itself as it's flung around the court. Just so much energy, man. It's awesome. And again, due to the nature of the story and the themes, I think that the degree of sexuality was warranted. The potentness of it was acceptable, but it was fucking potent, Jesus. Like, don't get me wrong, this was a gay-ass movie. Like, it was homoerotic to fuck. Luca Guadagnino is a gay man himself, and he definitely put stuff in here that was just for him. I got the same vibe from Call Me By Your Name. Like, that's also a good film, but also really horny. But if he's making films as good as this, I don't really care if he indulges here and there. It's like when Tarantino makes a good film with lots of feet. Like, the feet can stay as long as the film's good.
He's asking for your number. And so am I.
You both want my number.
Very much so, yeah. Yeah.
I did aim to make this review a briefer one compared to most of my others, but I don't know if I failed in that or not. I'll check it in editing when I start. I probably fucked up and waffled on and made it like another 20-minute review, but so be it, I like it that way. I am in the midst of making a big hour-long Midsummer review, retrospective, whatever you want to call it. I'm really enjoying that, but that's a big project. I'm not doing nothing. That's where all of my attention is going to right now. I just took this little break to quickly review this new Challengers film because it looked interesting, but that's why there hasn't been much activity on the channel in the last month or so, because I'm working on a big ting. But yeah, I'm happy with all that. I'm happy with the film. I'm happy with what I said about it. It's all good. It's all coming up Millhouse. I can't remember if this is an A24 film. I can't keep track, but I actually hope it's not, because A24 can't hog all of the good films. Just fuck off, A24. Regarding Luca Guadagnino's filmography, I think this is the most accessible film he's made to date, and that's a good thing. Like, hopefully people will get into his films, more people. They'll see this and they'll say, oh, what else has this guy done? Oh, bloody hell, like Suspiria. Jesus, what the fuck is that? Holy crap, what the fuck am I watching? Like, Suspiria is mental. Suspiria 2018 is one of the most, like, what the fuck, mental, psychedelic-ass, unique films of the last, like, of the 2010s. But ultimately, on a structural level, I think this is one of the tighter films from Luca. Tight! Not too overindulgent, not too long, just a good length. I think a lot of people will like this, a lot of normies.
You wish you never ever met her at all.
I don't really have any complaints with this film. I mean, maybe, oh, there was this one cut, this one editing cut that was a bit, like, too abrupt, where it felt choppy and it was a bit jarring, but literally one editing decision. And this is just a severe level of nitpicking anyway, so ignore all that. Who cares? Who cares about this review? Who cares about any of that? The important thing is, I had a great time. I was ecstatic walking out of this cinema. So there you have it. And remember to fucking subscribe. And also, I should address this, over the last month or so, I have gained quite a lot of subscribers. And I guess I'm speaking to new arrivals now, even. So, hello, what the fuck are you doing? Never mind. But that is, of course, insane, and I'm extremely grateful to all of you who have subscribed to the channel. I mean, I have to be, because this is all, like, it's all on you. You have all the power. You dictate if I am successful, if this amounts to anything. So, I owe everything to you. And not in a weird way. Don't make it weird like that, but, you know, I'm just trying to humble myself, because every good YouTuber humbles themselves in front of their audience, in front of their subscribers, but not in a weird way. I hope I am worthy of your attention, because that's what you're giving me at the end of the day. You are giving me your attention. You are sacrificing some of your time to watch my videos, and that is actually insane. So thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm going to say goodbye now. I don't have like a catchphrase or like a closing thing. Bye. Get off the stage, you disgusting fat fuck. 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 Get off the stage, you disgusting fat fuck.